just like getting more than one format if possible. It's on you for now. I'll switch it up for a little bit.
So it's not like a real podcast or anything. So I'm not like, it's not a video or anything I'm promoting or putting it up. So I'm going to cut all my shit out and just keep the important shit that you were saying.
That's fair.
About. So pretty much it's just so I can get to know about you more.
Yeah.
You know, why you do what you do, why you love to do what you do.
Yeah.
And what made you who you are at this very moment and everything. Because I feel like everybody has a different journey, and I feel like it's a very somber experience to hear from somebody else, especially if I'm somebody who's new and learning or wanting to get into the scene, you know, and I don't know how, or you know, I'm discouraged because there's people better than me. It's kind of like going to a skate park and you're skateboarding and you see them doing like crazy ass tricks and shit, and you're like, you just know how to bunny hop or something, and you're like, fuck, bro, I can't even ollie, like, you know, it deteriorates you, you know, it discourages you. So we're just gonna go forward and then pretty much ask you questions to see like how we can break out of that matrix, and then other people don't have to feel that way and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So why don't you first tell me when and why you did become an artist?
You know, becoming an artist, to me, is more about discovering your true self. I had two very professional parents. They pushed me to get very educated. But when I was like high school age, I lived in Boca Raton. I always had an affinity for hip-hop, for rap. Mm-hmm. And my first name I made up, it was also my Skype handle, was Southside Slayer. I thought I was so cool. I don't know. But anyway, so that was like the beginning. I was just in high school by myself, like just writing songs, trying to record it. Yeah, I put some shit. I put some shit on like early YouTube, like 2006 YouTube. There's some horrible raps, horrible. So that's the beginning, and I'm like getting consistent about being an artist. But I played saxophone since I was like 7 too. So it's like I've always had like a love for music. My dad taught me that. I like had all his CDs, so it's like I love music.
Okay.
But I also, it's like my mom's like a genius marketer. My dad's like a lawyer, writer, religious dude. So it's like I had all these influences, and they pushed me really hard to become a professional. But when I went to college, a small liberal arts college in Memphis, and that was really my first time like really like getting more exposed to the scene.
You went for music, right?
No. I just did it on the side. I studied international studies and history.
Did your parents approve of what you wanted to do, or is it something they kind of
no, my parents definitely don't approve.
They wanted you to be a lawyer or something, right?
Correct. I mean, not a lawyer. That was actually, I think, don't become, because my dad was a lawyer and it was a bad thing.
Okay.
But, I mean, I'm also a marketer. I don't know. It's something I was just exposed to by my mom. So it's like when I was in college, it was the first time, like, blunt cruising and rapping, and I go to parties and you'd cipher in a circle. And when I realized, like, doing that in Memphis, I thought that was, like, everyone. But what you realize, like, I mean, like, everywhere, too, right? It's actually not everywhere. Not everyone has the same experience. I just thought it was normal.
Okay.
So that was, like, the beginning of, like, I wrote a little bit, make some beats. Everyone pirated FL Studios, so I had some friends who were a little bit more in the music. I tried to get a little bit more into the scene. But Memphis is pretty hard. It's, like, a hard scene. Even the jazz scene, it's like, you gotta be good.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get deep in it. And then I kind of, what happened was the name, this is an important part. When I was in college, there was a pancake dinner. And my buddy Brent was drawing a picture of me, and I kind of looked like a...
On stage for you guys.
Alright, bless, bro.
Kind of like a Moses-like dude with a J chain, and he wrote J Sway. And like that, plus like, that became like my nickname. And then there was like J Sway, J Swizzo.
J Swizzo.
Yeah. You know? So it's like, that was kind of like the beginning of like that part of my mind and my identity. So I like always had that in the back of my mind. But then it's like, I didn't really focus on it too much. Like it kind of took a back seat until I lived in Ohio for a while, but I was living in Cleveland, and I met 3 different people. I met one of the few people I've ever met in my life who's more energy than I am, who's more of a showman. This guy Toby Raps, and he was really like the one who flipped the switch of I could do this. I really liked what he does. He's a very like positive, thoughtful rap. Like, it's white guy rap, but it's good, you know? And then I also met this Affinity. She was my other kind of, like, I could say, like, rap mentor. They're both younger than me, too, but they've been in the game longer. So it was good because at least Toby turned me on to, like, producers that he knew. Affinity turned me on to the scene in east side of Cleveland, but she was also trying to make it in L.A. And so it's like, there was one time I was at this party, and I met this rapper, Affinity, Finn the God, right? And she... I just met her. She's like a soul sister. Like, I spoke to her in rhyme for 10 minutes straight, and I'm like, damn.
Okay.
And then I met one more artist Raw Cash. And Raw was more of like a designer fashion person, but she's the first person ever like say like, you're an artist, come to this artist retreat in Pennsylvania. And that was like a catalyzing moment. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. And again, I've always been writing. Like I always written like poetry, short stories.
Just never like.
I never laid it out, and it's because it's like I didn't have. I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't make it a priority. And I had a girlfriend who drummed me at the time who was like thought it was goofy. So then I went to the studio. I recorded like a bunch of songs. I started working on it more, and that's when it became a bigger focus for me. And then so it became a bigger focus, but like it's like so I was kind of like I was trying to get into the Cleveland scene. But then I also, was living life. I fell in love with a girl down here, so I came down here.
Okay.
But she was at least supportive.
Yeah.
Like I was making beats, she liked it, so it was good to have someone supportive. If you have someone supportive, it's really important.
Okay. So let me see. So that's beautiful, actually, because everybody's journey, really, when they start music, is totally different, bro. And I just want to really know yours and everything, because if I told you mine, you're gonna be like, what the hell, bro? Like, you're so good, and why not, and everything. Like, everybody has some kind of background behind it, and it definitely shows when they do music and everything. So that's why I kind of like when we put this in the magazine, we want people to know, like, it doesn't matter what angle you're coming from, as long as it's an angle, and you know what I mean, and it's expressive, and you're doing what you love to do. Yeah. So how would you describe your personality?
I would say, my personality is energetic, supportive, collaborative. A lot of why I do this, and it's like, when I told my mom, she's like, you're gonna fail, right? And it's like, sometimes you gotta go for the things even if you fail. Because I think it's better to take what you're creating and put it out there.
Okay.
Too many artists I know, too many writers, too many creatives hide their stuff. I'm sure a dozen people just sitting on it, right?
Sitting on it,
and they think they're wheezy, but it's like, dude, just put it out there.
Just put it out there, see what happens. It's like chumming the water.
Look, I don't do this for commercial success. I'm not gonna make money. I've burned way too much money trying to do this. But to me, it's more about creating, trying things out, creating connections,
building bridges and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I also think it's like people need to bring more energy to stuff, right?
I believe that too.
Yeah.
I believe you should come at everything you do wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Why be half-assed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So let's go. That's actually beautiful. So let's definitely lock that in there.
Okay.
Next question I got for you is how would you describe your art? Like your sound, your flow? How would you describe it? Like,
all right. So my art, a lot of what I want to do is funny shit. I think, especially to me, hip hop can be any direction, but it's like I'm not lying. Like I didn't come from bad means. I'm not like a gangster. That's not me though. I'm not pretending to be someone else. But I think it's good to create music about things that are like goofy or mundane that aren't really talked about,
that
right?
Is really serious, like satire almost. Like
absolutely.
Like absolutely serious is not fun.
Absolutely.
Life is already serious. So
bro, that's why that's my shirt, right? What's it say? Right? What's it say? Right?
No Jewish wife wants a man without a job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? But that's what it's about, because it's like I think it's like I always loved comedy, I always loved hip hop, and what I wanted to do was some kind of nexus of the two. Because I just want to be an entertainer.
You gotta be, man.
Right?
Especially in this day and age.
Yeah, definitely.
People want to be entertained. They watch TV, they Netflix, Amazon. I got like accounts everywhere and stuff.
Sure,
like
yeah.
All right, then, if you could change one thing about like the music industry is going on now, what would it be?
That's a tough one. I mean, I guess, the industry is probably more like splintered than ever, where it's like, there's, not everyone, so many people do want to make music and do it. I think there needs to be more grassroots and underground stuff. One thing I loved about Cleveland was like people throw up like block parties. They shut down the block. They bring out like local fashion people, local artists, local rappers, local producers. They set up a stage It's like that's the type of shit I love. I love like when it's like a really community driven thing. Also, when I lived in Akron, something that was really inspirational for me as a supporter of music, we did the Porch Rocker Festival, which was great. Started in Rochester, New York, but the whole idea was
New Road,
huh?
New Road City, bro.
Yeah. But from places like that, cool ideas come. So all the Porch Rocker concept was your neighborhood, your community, people volunteer their porches as venues, and like for a day, 100 local bands play. Shit like that. I volunteered for that in 2014.
That would change the whole industry as it like what would you change about it to allow that community to get that exposure?
I think both companies and government should put more into local venues, local artists, local events, promote those as ways to build the community, because it's harder and harder
rather than focusing on individual artists like Drake and this and like these they like idolize and
here's the
celebrity.
Here's the thing. I remember back in the day,
glamorize
when I was like first getting really deep into hip hop, man, I was like, oh man, I love the Mortal Technique, but in the end of the day, it's like not the most entertaining music. It's like real serious shit. Not everyone's going to be into that.
Exactly. And I noticed that you could be humble, but they always want to glamorize your life, and that takes away from the lifestyle you want to live. And I'm understanding. Okay, that's beautiful. That's actually a very beautiful answer. Okay, we'll move to the next one. I got right here. What has been the biggest highlight of your career? Your music career. What is the biggest highlight? The one that really took off, blew up, that made you feel the best. Like you're like, oh my god, this feels good. I want to do this. Like, what's the biggest highlight?
It's a small moment, but like one of my fans is like just like a high schooler kid, and he was playing my music in a video he sent me. He was playing my music, and his friends were all like doing some like silly dances to it. But like that's like a moment. That's like one of the top 3. But I'll say the other 2 are I just dropped a beat on Friday, and my friend immediately started writing a verse for it, and I recorded it.
Come on.
So it's like that to me is like the point. It's like if someone's like, oh, that's good, and they are inspired, like that's why I like music, because it should be this continuous conversation and flow.
Yes.
And the last one was I rented out my buddy's pizzeria, and I put on my own show, and like only 10 people came, but at least I put the money down and believed in it. And I'll say the last thing is I made these fucking shirts, and like I'll run into people who have the shirts I forgot about. So it's like those 4 things are.
They still have them, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. No one wears them, but people remember them.
That's cool as hell, bro.
So that's the kind of.
Get me one of them shirts, bro.
Yeah, we'll see. I gotta do a second release, but I gotta get some money first.
All right, let's hit the next one and everything. All right, what do you think your creative process is like? Like when you're making beats or when you're writing your songs, like. Writer's block is a big thing. Like,
sure.
What is your creative process? What's your method to making your art?
Yeah, I'd say I have a couple processes. I have one, it's like there's something going on and I want to express it. It's like a response to something in my life. That's a key one. But I also say it's like I'll hear a sound or something. Like there was some Brazilian karaoke the other night. I'm like, now I want to make a Brazilian type beat. So I was trying to like capture that moment and make it into a beat. And then I'd say the last one is, especially when I'm like, I like to freestyle more than anything. I definitely say I'm more comfortable with freestyle than writing. I always feel like my writing ends up being clunky. I gotta work on it a lot more to get it smooth. But I always like to start with like something that I'm freestyling on. I'll write it down. So I very much like will like freestyle like a line or 2, write it down, and then build off of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's generally my.
That's a holistic answer.
And sometimes there was one recently. My buddy sent me this meme that was hilarious. He showed this meme to me, and I'm like, damn. He's like, this is like some shit you would write. I'm like, you know what? It is. So I wrote a whole rap based on that shit.
Based on that meme and that conversation.
Yeah. Is this? Yeah.
You be capitalizing off the moments, bro. That's good.
Definitely.
All right, let's hit the next one. We got what do you think the difference between the quality of art from then and music, like quality of music and art from then to now is? Like a lot of times I hear people say, oh man, the good days, but when we were young, the good days were those good days. Now that we're older, the good days are different good days. You know what I'm saying? We're really in the pocket now. So what do you think the difference is from now to then? Like why do you think people are so concerned and not interested in day-to-day music?
In day-to-day music?
Like, radio.
Sure. Look, I mean, I think definitely musical attention spans have shrank. That's a big factor in it. Because now it's more like someone watches a TikTok or a reel, and that's how they discover something. That's the discovery mechanism. And there's a lot of algorithmic recommendations, which can be good and bad. Because you'll find obscure shit you never find that's more tuned to your liking. I think that's probably a positive. Some of the algorithmic stuff is good. Attention spans are probably bad. But if we think about how much music people consume, it might actually be higher than in the past.
Okay.
It's hard to tell. What I'd say is, like, another side that's really changed is if you want to make music, all the tools are in your phone, right?
Yeah, I agree because...
So it changes it where it's like you don't need a recording studio. I mean, you might need a microphone and a computer, but it's like you can afford a microphone. I mean, it's not that much.
Yeah, even iPhones. Like
iPhones are okay.
What you're using.
Bands have Gorillaz did a whole iPad album, right? People do shit like that. It gives it a different sound. So I think there's at the same time, more people are empowered, and the barrier to entry to music is lower than ever.
Okay.
But I think commercial success becomes a little harder, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that. That was very unique. Okay, and then we got, what advice would you give to like a new artist or somebody wanting to become an artist or somebody wanting to enter the scene and is already an artist? Like what advice would you give to somebody starting off to either really like get themselves off the ground? You know what I mean? Like it can mean anything.
Yeah, I think the real differentiator I've seen with other artists who are more successful than me, it's actually build a plan, right? You actually have to build it like a 1 year, 16-month plan where you're gonna say like, all right, I'm gonna write this is my goal, then I'm gonna record and break it out over that entire 18 months or a year to get to that polished EP, to figure out who you gotta connect to get venues and all this. Okay. And if you don't have a plan, like an actual written document with key milestones and you're sticking to it, you will never get out of kind of like what I would say is like both the production promotion cycle, because sometimes it's hard when you're like doing a little bit and then you're gonna promote. You can go astray, or you can lose focus, or you can feel this disenchanted by it all, because it is challenging. But if you really treat it like, honestly, like a business and take it really seriously and you write it down, that to me is a key differentiator. The other thing is you have to really put yourself out there. Yeah. I think I know, you know way more people in this scene than I do, but it's like there's so many people trying that it's very saturated. You gotta stay above the noise. So that's really, you really have to either it sounds cliche, but you gotta do something a little more unique, I think, to stand out, and you gotta really promote yourself. Okay. Yeah, I'm listening, bro, because I'm probably gonna do this myself. Like, I'm always looking for ways to better myself and everything. So it's always interesting hearing people's different perspectives on how they think, or what worked around them. Because it's also like you can go through it through trial and error, or you could learn from the next person's mistakes, for sure, and not have to go through that error. For sure, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like you also have to decide if you want to be big fish in a little pond, or little fish in a big pond. Exactly. I think that's kind of like the South Florida thing. Do you want to try in Miami? You want to try in Broward? Or you want to try in Palm Beach? Or the world. I mean, everything's global. Like when I look at my listeners, they're over the world technically. You know what I'm saying? I made a few beats. I got people from UK that fucking play it all the time. I'm like, what the fuck? UK's listening? Yeah. And that's a good feeling too. You know what I mean? It is cool. All on the side of the world, you're like, what the fuck, bro? Yeah, it is cool. The other thing I'd say is to think of yourself as, especially in this day and age, more than just a musician, right? I think of myself more as like an entertainer. Broadening, even though broadening can maybe dilute you, it's like you gotta treat yourself like a brand as well. Okay. Right? That's why I'm Jay Sway. That's why I got the merch. You got the merch. You got the signature. Yeah, that's why I got the signatures. Come on. Yeah, I got the Crocs, bro. Right? But it's like, I lost the J, but that's okay. I'm the J. But you know what I'm saying? It's like you have to embody it. I think that to me, bro. It might create weird compartmentalization, and you might go a little crazy, but who's not crazy, bro? Exactly. We're all a little crazy. Yeah, we're all a little crazy. It's all Wonderland, and we're all a little Alice in here. Madness everywhere. And look, and the other thing is this. It's like, I think I differentiate. Some people are like, I've known producers who are real hardcore about stuff, and they're like, nah, he doesn't have the talent, he'll never make it. And at the same time, I think people should be less critical. And again, there's people maybe in the industry who are going to be a lot more critical. I make art for me. I don't make it for anyone else but me. Right? That to me is a core thing to be successful. Make it for yourself.
That's beautiful.
Don't be thinking about, I'm going to make it for this audience, I'm going to make it for this person, I'm going to make it to be like this. Make it for yourself.
That's beautiful.
And if it comes from yourself, you'll make something quality.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's a solid note, man.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I think that's the last.
Let me make one more thing. Just a book recommendation.
Anything you want to say, go ahead.
This is a book recommendation. So, yeah, everyone listening, hopefully you hear this last part. This is the key. The Creative Act, A Way of Being, is a book by Rick Rubin that came out last February.
Okay.
Right? I think I got it in my car. I'm going to fucking go get it after this, right?
All right.
No, I'm doing a project with it.
Bless.
No. As an artist, this is like the modern day Bible.
Okay.
You know who Rick Rubin is, right?
I'll be honest, I have no idea, but
really?
You're gonna educate
one of the
me.
most prolific producers of all time, dude.
Educate.
He did like the Beastie Boys. He was doing like Metallica. He was doing like Kendrick Lamar, right? No, this guy's a legend. And the reason you don't know him is because he's a producer. That's the truth. So unless you're like deep into the production history of stuff, or you're into his weird philosophy
watching
shit.
The credits.
Yeah. But he's into like philosophy and art and all this shit, and he's not a trained musician. He just has a different perspective and a really good ear and mind for this shit. And he's a fucking genius. He wrote this book, and this blew my life up. So what I started doing with this book was I bring it around and I have someone open a random page and I'll film them. What I want to do is with all these interactions, and I ask, is that relevant to you? Are you an artist? I ask these people these questions, and I want to stitch it together into one long thing. Okay. And recently I've been opening a random page myself and posting on Instagram. But this book, I have met more people reading this book than any other book in my life. In a Kava bar, in Fort Lauderdale Airport, both creative directors, on the beach in Boca, in Toronto.
Reading that book.
I brought it to the cafe today. The barista's like, yeah, I have it in my collection. I'm like, read it. And he's like some like punk doom metal dude, right? It is, to me, the modern, a modern day Bible for artists across the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta get one.
I'm gonna go grab my copy.
I'm gonna
grab my copy.
See it,
but yeah.
I'm gonna note that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, this is JSWAY33, JSWAY33 everywhere. Outro. Let's go. And as I say, peace, love, and harmony.
Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all bless, man. I love it, bro.
Let's go. WoeDieWoe. The other J.
You already know.
Let's go.
We in the bag. Salud.
Salud. All right. As we say, l'chaim.
L'chaim.